Listen, my friends, I'll tell you the tale. A guy told to me he was haggard and pale. It's a tale of the north in the land of the snow, where northern lights shine when it's 50 below. One bright day in June, he left for the north with a 49 Harley he used as a horse, with a bed-rolling pack and quite a few guts and a new set of tires to withstand the ruts. He left in the night with the whole town asleep. With his face to the wind, he went at a creep. But when midnight rang from the old town tower, he was pulling into Jamestown and picking up power. His wheel turned west after gas and a bite. When rain hit his face, he stopped for the night. But long before dawn, he climbed back aboard to get a head start on the tourist horde. The Badlands came up about 10 past 2. If they were his, he'd give them to you. Deep canyons and gullies and towers so high they looked like they surely held up the sky. But snow came by 3 and he wanted to get to Great Falls or Billings by nightfall yet. The snow was so thick he scarcely could see, so when Circle showed up he stopped for a spree. I'll skip the details of the fruitless quest and just say that night he got a good rest. When dawn came up and wind went down, our hero decided it was time to leave town. The snow on the road was hard as a clam, and by midday he'd reached Fort Peck Dam. He didn't stop long, he'd a long way to go, and wanted to make Shelby in time for a show. He made it on time, made camp for the night, and wandered downtown to see the bright lights. It was a one-horse town way out in the sticks, but the people were nice. If you didn't try any tricks, in bed by 10, and when the sun peeked forth, he was saddled again, his face headed north. The red tape of customs was cut by noon, and 30 miles later, wham and kaboom, the front chain was gone and all wrapped up tight. He cussed and swore with all of his might. But he got a new chain and put it on soon, and rode into Calgary by the light of the moon. The generator was gone, or at least going fast, but he hoped and he prayed that his battery would last. The Lord's Day sun came up so red, he just couldn't stand to stay in bed. So up he jumped and loaded his ark and took a side trip to the national park. Toward evening up at Lake Louise, he thought it was time to hit the breeze. So to make up time he'd spent in the park, he took a closed road soon after dark. But after 50 miles of mud and snow, he came to a gate, but the sign said no. Around he turned and checked the gas and swore by his beard 'twould never last. He found he was wrong, but not very far, pulled up to the pump behind a big car. When sputter and putt, the motor cut out, he filled up the tank and then he pulled out to set up camp way down in the trees near a cool mountain stream, as nice as you please. When the sun came up, he hit the trail like an old hound dog with a can on his tail. Back through Calgary, then Edmonton too, plus 100 miles to Slave Lake so blue. From Edmonton on, the trail gets rougher, and the seat of his pants was sure to get tougher. The road had more bumps than an old washboard, and more twists and turns than a Japanese sword. But the dawn broke about 2 a.m., just in time to take a good swim. After some shut-eye and a bite to eat, he hit a pace that couldn't be beat. It was 350 miles to Dawson's Creek, but he made the town with the sun on his cheek. Then on he went to a show, mail wore bride, to watch someone else on a rough ride. When he left that town, little he knew of the perils ahead. For a two-wheeled canoe, 'twas 900 miles to White Horse Town. No one would try it but a fool or a clown. Not counting a flat and an occasional bear, he made it with ease and patience to spare. The places he'd pass, such as Watson Lake, Blueberry, and Truck, were one family stakes. But Whitehorse was a city so bright, except for the fact that they had no light. But lights were not needed to go out and have fun. One needed only to watch for the midnight sun. But after a beer and a bite to eat, our hero took off for the country to sleep. At Teslin Lake, another flat tire took up some time, but where was the fire? A beautiful blonde was all kinds of help, but her 5-year-old son was an awful whelp. Steamboat Mountain, an awfully high hill, gave the rider all kinds of a thrill. Cars and trucks in the lowest of gears rolled up the hill in what seemed like years. But Fargo came up to the first little grade, gave it a look and said, "We've got it made." So up it he rolled at 40 per hour, leaving cars and trucks in a gravel shower. When Burwash Flats came into view, he stopped at the landing for a pot of stew. His spirit was high and so was his head, for he knew that Alaska was just ahead. Brooks Range was there far off in the haze. The trip for the Indians took many days. But he knew he'd make it in a matter of hours, if only the sky would hold back the showers. He rolled by the border, then was stopped for arrest by the U.S. Customs 50 miles to the west. The morning sun was high in the sky. Went to Tuck Junction, he waved goodbye. One arrow said Anchorage 600 south, but the road looked worse than a canyon's mouth. The other said north 500 all told, to Fairbanks, the city of whiskey and gold. He headed north on a smooth oil track, but he hit gravel again before he sat back. A sign said slow, road under construction, but never before had he seen more destruction. It looked like Berlin, Cologne, and the rest all piled together. Oh God, what a mess. He went on and on over mountains of dirt, then down in the mud with the dozers did flirt. 'Twas the Lord's day again when he rolled down the streets of Fairbanks, the city so wild but so neat. Then on to the north he pushed his poor bike, for he wanted to be first to make the long hike. The sunshine at midnight would keep you awake, so he took a hot swim in the Circle Springs Lake. After a stop in Fairbanks all the next day to write home a letter and enjoy his stay, he took off for home on tires so thin he had to go fast just to keep the air in. Time was short and so was his dough, so Fargo tied down his luggage to go. The trip back down was much the same as the way up, except for more rain. At Laird Hot Springs he stopped for a swim. The dust of the road was heavy on him. A week flew past and so did the trees. Our hero was honestly cutting the breeze. The U.S. border came up one day at Grand Forks, Montana. That night he would stay. Yellowstone Park was next on the list, where one piston quit, the other just missed. So with one lung's gone, or at least going fast, he hoped and he prayed that the motor would last. 400 miles later, at Rapid City, his luck would run out. Oh, what a pity. To travel 8,000 miles without mishap, then at his back door it broke down in his lap. He had it shipped home and then put it in shape so some other sucker could enjoy the same fate. My only advice to all who would try to travel the Northland's trail to the sky, on a two-wheeled bike or a four-wheeled car, as brother and sister, stay where you are. For the Northland will get you in its icy grip and not let you rest till you take the long trip. That's not so bad, but just half the tale, you'll make a one-way trip up the trail. I've got a new bike, but there's one thing I know: when the sun comes north and melts the snow, I'm going south just as far as I can and return to the land of my Uncle Sam. I'm sorry I can't see you for Christmas this year, and hoping this letter will bring you good cheer. And even though I can't with you be near, I'll remember you all over a cold glass of beer.